I want to watch a video about something China.
World's second largest economy, President Trump is using tariffs to address China's dominance. The White House has suggested that tariffs on some Chinese products may reach up to 245%.
Thing about me, I just love seeing Xi Jinping smile so much that I'll gladly pay the tariff because I know it'll make him happy to buy a Chinese-made product. So I will pay above and beyond. It's just my friend over there. It's a smile tax. Yeah, call it the smile tax, dude. Because I know he's probably frowning when he thinks about me not enjoying protect his smile. Do it for him.
Here are some of the ways that China could retaliate against US tariffs.
Okay, one retaliation they could do that would really fuck things up is if Xi Jinping stopped personally sending me the 30 grand he sends me every month to be a shill for China. I think if he cut that off, that would really be like a horrendous retaliation because that is a huge part of my local economy. And I think it would be poor.
All told, China's holdings are now 4% of GDP, of our GDP. That's big enough that if they sold it really, really quickly, and if the Federal Reserve just did nothing, that it would have a short-term impact.
But the Fed doesn't always intervene.
Okay.
People who need to finance homes could feel the impact.
First of all, what they don't understand is that Americans don't want homes. We want homies. Okay, it's a friendship crisis. We will gladly live on the street as long as we have our friends with us. And I think we're talking about the wrong thing. That's why I'm thankful to have you guys. He says from his home, you think I'm in my home? I am currently on the street. This is a green screen I've set up behind me. And I stream remotely. I just move from place to place. So it's actually crazy that you'd say that. And I'm living that Diogenes life. Has China recovered from their Evergrande cycle? Not that I need to get crazy into it, but imagine if this red bar is real estate, okay? And then this blue bar is exports. As real estate investment has collapsed, they've been tripling down on exports for things like EVs, batteries, solar, things like that. So China's more reliant, like their what you'd call current account surplus, exports more than imports, has never been higher. They've never imported less and exported more, which is frustrating other countries as they've gotten even higher market share of all global manufacturing. China's very reliant, like China, if they can't get other countries to buy their goods, is actually in a real tough spot. They need exports to grow. They're trying to grow their way out of this bubble deflation through exports. So this is very, very important. So far, it seems like they do have buyers. Even if America's not a buyer, they have buyers across the world. But like, this is life or death almost.
That said, China's government has other tools it could use against the US. For example, China supplies 60% of the world's rare earth elements. These elements are crucial for modern technologies in defense, alongside oil refining, electric cars, and wind turbines.
This is why Aiden is doing so well in the Doug stock competition, because he invested in this like penny stock company that scrapes the ocean for rare earth metals. And now that China's like export restricting, suddenly they 100% up.
The higher tariff rates on China slowed activity at US ports down sharply. There are now concerns that a supply shock is inbound for the US.
Some businesses are saying we're going to hold off as long as we can, and they're paying higher storage costs.
It's going to be interesting to see because like there very clearly is a slowdown at ports across America. There's just not boats in the ports. There's not truckers delivering goods. It's like hitting now, but we haven't seen like empty shelves or anything yet. But there's this big lag effect that like they're saying hits by like May 10th. That's what they're saying. I got to see it, I guess, but that's what it feels like. It feels like the slowdown is like about to hit from this trade disruption. Because in response to like upcoming tariffs, everybody pre-bought a bunch of shit. Like there's a ton of warehouses in America stuffed full of imported Chinese goods ahead of the tariffs. Because they thought, we'll pre-buy a bunch of stuff, we'll use that tariff-free, and we'll try to outlast the tariffs. But if they keep going, I mean, the slowdown is now real. You think Trump backs off once shortages hit consumer stores? It's weird because they asked him about it and he said, so what? There'll be a fewer dolls on the shelf. And maybe the dolls will be a little bit more expensive. We don't care. But it's like, I think it's more than dolls. But we'll see. I mean, I actually, it's very tough to model. You don't know how this is all going to play out. It's like such an incredibly global supply chain problem.
Americans are actually pretty happy with having cheap goods. And so as a result, we buy a lot of them. And therefore, we've been running this persistent trade deficit for a while.
Is it my fault, folks? I was born in 1991. Doesn't it feel like we were having a no deficit and then I came around and now suddenly we're... I will say that every year of my life, I've been importing billions more of Chinese goods. Caught! I'm sorry, did I f up the deficit? I love Chinese goods, bro. Sometimes I'm just buying shit. Do you guys ever just do like retail therapy? Do you ever buy like $600 billion worth of Alibaba goods just to feel something?
And I would throw in, like, look, a lot of the winners on the corporate side.
They included just because you have the Tism cat photo in this stock footage. Scroll.
China was the third largest destination for U.S. exports in 2024.
Let me guess. Beef, soybeans, corn, Hollywood movies, Boeing jets. These are the things that China's impacting.
China basically told its state-owned
Oh, yeah.
oil and gas companies, you're not going to buy any U.S. natural gas. And we got news that China had told its state airlines
Boeing jets.
that they can't take delivery of Boeings that they've already ordered.
It's kind of low-key petty on China's part to not take a plane you already ordered. Because you already paid for it, bro. Like, don't buy new Boeings if you're trying to be some type of way. But don't waste the plane. It's like wasting food is what it feels like. It's like you bought the food, eat it.
So I'd say energy and agriculture are probably the two most impacted industries on the export side of the house.
All right, so full disclosure, there's only like one US-based consumer company that I've invested in China. This is not financial advice. Don't invest in it. But I've invested in the Dominos branch of China. They've openly said they have no restrictions on fast-moving consumer goods like that, fast food. And Domino's is so fast-growing and has good margins and it's doing pretty well. I mean, it's done pretty well so far. I read a good report on it from a hedge fund, honestly. It was like this 40-page PDF. And it was about opportunities they see in China. And the Domino's one was interesting, so I looked into it more and I was like, I'll take a risk. One of the key parts of the thesis is like, hey, US and China are going to have problems. A lot of important industries are going to get restricted. Pizza's not one of them. Pizza's like the only one you can fly, dude. No one cares. There's no critical important pizza industry. You know what? The world's so crazy. Tomorrow, Xi Jinping could say that stuffed crust is national security secret. And nationalize all the Domino's. I'm not saying, who knows?
The first trade war, many of our soybean farmers have spent so much time trying to rebuild their relationships in China.
It's fucked up because if we were still able to export soy to China, we could play the long game. And if we exported enough soy, they would become soy boy beta cucks. And that would allow us to win any conflict. But because they're cutting off our soy exports, we're just stuck with a bunch of soy in our country. That's going to drive down the price of soy. And then we're going to have cheap soy in all our food. That's going to fuck us. We're going to become the soy.
One thing that would give me pause is if you saw a much stronger relationship form between the European Union and China in response to the Trump administration's trade policies.
Me too.
The Trump administration has burned through an awful lot of goodwill in the international system. The reason the dollar persists as the global reserve currency is, at this point, is not because of any real, fondness or American soft power. It's because of just the weight of history.
Even 3 months ago, before the reciprocal tariffs, I think a lot of countries in the world would have been on the side of the United States.
This is the ultimate thesis of my video. I'm glad they're saying this. I feel like I got comments that didn't understand that at all. They were like, oh, you're just glazing China or whatever. Or that you hate. I'm like, dude, I'm American. I cannot become Chinese. Xi Jinping's not going to take me in. I am proud of my country in a broad, macro, lifelong sense. And I want what's best for it and the people in it. But you can't deny that, like, Trump specifically is just blowing any advantage we had. Just blowing it. Just like, I think the analogy that my Chinese friend made, that like Xi Jinping is playing with plumbers. I think it's appropriate. I feel really strongly about that. Like, I don't think he's doing everything right. I think there are many things to be critical of China for, but it feels small beans when we're blowing it so much. That's how I feel, as I just feel like we're blowing it. We're blowing it. And, which is why, it's funny I'm talking about it today, but I don't want to talk about it too much because it's like almost stressing me out. Like, why do I keep repeating it? I said it.
China has sent out loads of inexpensive products over the years, enabled by low wages, fewer safety standards for workers, and looser environmental regulations.
These are, largely domestic manufacturers or producers that have felt for a long time like their products are unfairly competing against foreign imports.
I feel like this is still not making the point clear, though, which is that even if you believe all of that about China, and I think there's some truth to that, and you think it's just impossible to pay American workers a fair wage and compete, so you need a tariff on certain aspects of Chinese manufacturing. If you think that's true, you still have to do it in coordination with allies. That's just not, it's not possible to do it alone, especially without pissing off all your... Do you know what I'm saying? It's not possible. And so this video is not harsh enough on the fact that that has been done backwards, which is like truly the biggest up of it.
If we do continue to go longer in this trade war, we're going to see greater and greater challenges.
That I fully agree, dude. I think we're not talking enough about the fact that tariffs aside, all this aside, like the amount of smuggling is going to go up astronomically. In phase one, they haven't really figured out the right routes, the right people to bribe, the right whatever. But like we're just setting up for enormous smuggling and like mislabeled goods and like putting the wrong country tag on Chinese goods. All that stuff is happening already now. I mean, I talked about South Korea reporting it. South Korea, against all odds, snitched, dude. They just said, hey, like there's a bunch of people in our port putting fake South Korean stickers on Chinese goods to sell to America. They admit it, which is a cool ally thing to do, I guess. They didn't benefit from it. It's going to happen all over. The routes are being built now. There's money in it. So it's wild to think that you can just pull a Napoleon, dude. In Napoleonic times, Napoleonic Wars. How do I draw Europe? Let's just do a box again. This is Europe, aka France, because he owned basically all of Europe. And this is the UK, aka the one country that no one can ever conquer. Every time someone gets all of Europe, they're always stopped by this tiny little bit of water after this channel. So Napoleon, he can't quite invade and conquer the UK. So what he does a thing called the continental system, where every single country in EU has to promise they're not going to buy from the UK. It's all the ports are closed. But of course, every single individual country is like, you're right, Napoleon, we won't do it. But when he's not looking, they do it. Because there's money in it. Because the UK makes a lot of stuff. They have a ton of factories at the time. They're the China of their day. They're actually selling all over. Napoleon will show up and like, hey, let's do a crackdown. But then while he's cracking down here, they're selling over here. And like, this was just a huge, expensive failure, this attempt to crack down on UK trade. And I feel like there's a really strong parallel to what Trump is trying to do in China, especially with no allies. Yeah, like we're going to see obviously a bunch of exports from Mexico go up mysteriously. And it's like, maybe perhaps Chinese goods are being sent to Mexico and then being resent to America. Like maybe perhaps that's happening. All that's going to be really, really hard to enforce and really hard to stop. And so again, the best way is really not these top-down tariff rules. It's like bottoms up becoming more competitive. If you have to subsidize your own American industry, then so be it. But like, if that's what you want to do, if you want us to be better at making chips or making EVs or whatever, finding a way to make us competitive is a lot better than finding a way to try to like stop. I don't know.